attracted representatives of bodies with stakes in agriculture. We have more in this report by Samuel Barr.
Consultative farmers and stakeholders meeting centered on the 2011 rainy season and its impact on the general crop failure in the lower and upper Nyomi constituencies of the North Bank region. Forum is expected to enhance farmers' ability to diagnose issues related to climate change as well as develop sustainable early warning mechanisms ahead of the next rainy season.
The objective is for farmers to come together, come up with solutions that will sustain their future production. Because we've seen that one of the main things is we've seen that global warming is now really the order of the day, which farmers should understand better and try to be more resilient in future, because we've seen that the erraticness and the uncertainty needs a better planning so that food production or general farming will be a better place. And the outcome of this, the outcome of the workshop, we feel before we leave, people will come up with their own plans as to how to mitigate some of those uncertainties. Because one major thing we've seen this year is going to be a threat next year is seeds.
This forum, jointly organized by the Njawara Agricultural Training Center and the non-state actors with funding from the latter, brought together participants from 15 cluster villages with a view to assessing and mapping out ways of improving crop productivity. As the global campaign for food security intensifies, Gambia is not left behind in this crusade, with rural women taking a lead role. Officials are hopeful that with the country's available natural resources, this can place the country among the well-fed on the globe.
So those are some of the techniques we want farmers now to do for their land management. Because Gambia, the farmland is not valuable, but we can make it very valuable than even the settlements. And if we are able to achieve that, definitely we are all going to be rich, although I know there's going to be a big scramble. Reviewing the last rainy season and its overall impact on crop productivity, participants described their experience of the ended rainy season as a nightmare. Lamin Sware of Sware Kunda explains the erratic nature of last year's rains, which were characterized by a long dry spell, which he said affected their crops. Similar comments were made by other speakers from Lower and Upper Nyomi. However, one thing that remains prominent among a host of concerns raised is the grossly inadequate yield to feed them and the seeds for the next cropping season. KC is the monitoring and evaluation officer for this project.
That we would like to call the farmers together and hear from them the challenges that they have faced, and for them to have a discussion and perhaps link it in with climate change, as somebody mentioned earlier. Perhaps our beneficiaries at community level don't understand the terminology climate change, but they're certainly feeling the impact of it.
This consultative meeting of local farmers is expected to culminate into a master plan that will be streamlined in rural development intervention in these farming communities. Samuel Barr, GRTS.
Well, you can follow that story and other GRTS programs live on our website, and that's on www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS radio live. Time now to take our first break. Stay tuned in.
AfriCell Funding Service.
Ko ngal salamu ntelem Jalex aka Akuntu ngani soto na julol to AfriCell Funding Service. Yo, Unko, hey, 10687, wale mala koti. Hey, Unko, kaya ba kola wani sewo 11113, wale mala koti. Yo, woye 11289, wale mo fana na koti akiki.
I am going back home.
Hey, Sambi Mbina, Samba fana na code bafintila, phone ring service odo. Hey, na fanso fana be mumbe mbal tentula. Hey, na album kuto Samba fintila.
I am
Welcome back. United Nations has pegged casualties in Syria to 5,000. This as the al-Bashar Assad's government continues its heavy-handed crackdown on civilians. Russia has meanwhile signaled a shift in its position on the Syrian crisis by condemning the violence against protesters, but refused it call for sanctions against the Syrian government despite international pressure. We have details in the CFI report.
insurgents lie on the streets and Bashar al-Assad's forces continue preventing rescue workers from saving those who are in need. Against this backdrop of permanent killings, the UN puts the casualty figures at 5,000. Russia signaled a shift in its position on the Syrian crisis. Moscow proposes a UN Security Council resolution condemning violence by Bashar al-Assad's government, but includes no sanctions. The shift in Russia's tactics, which was no doubt due to international pressure, does not particularly mean a change of policy.
There are some issues in it that we would not be able to support. There's unfortunately a seeming parity between the government and peaceful protesters and then other Syrians who are trying to defend themselves, but we're going to study the draft carefully.
The draft presented to us obviously deserves many amendments. It is not balanced. Nevertheless, it is a draft on the basis of which we can negotiate.
In the meantime, funerals and peaceful demonstrations continue in Syria. This Friday is proclaimed the Arab League is Killing Us Day to show the anger that Syrians feel against the Arab League, which they say gives the regime time to continue killing. According to the Syrian Human Rights Watch, more than 200,000 people took to the streets on Friday in Homs to call for the fall of Assad's regime.
Iraqis celebrated the departure of the U.S. soldiers from their country as the United States lowered its flag in Baghdad. The people are critical of the role played by the U.S. and its achievements in the country. This report looks at how civilians are reacting to the departure of the American military after a 7-year involvement.
Is following the retreat of U.S. troops after 9 years of occupation. Control of the last of 505 American military bases Friday. The relief is clearly felt in this cafe in Baghdad.
This is a great day in Iraq's history. People will show the world that we reject occupation and we should make this day a national holiday.
For Baghdadis, there's no doubt that Iraqi security forces can protect the country.
The withdrawal of U.S. forces will have no effect because Iraqi forces assumed responsibility years before American forces pulled out. U.S. forces only played a supporting role.
The highest number of U.S. troops in Iraq numbered 170,000 in 2007. The remaining 4,000 troops will have all pulled out by the 25th of December.
Well, I feel great about going home. I've been out here for 10 months, and as passionate I am about the mission, going home is always my favorite part of the deployment. I wish great things for this country after we leave. Both Iraqis and U.S. Service members have sacrificed a lot to get to this point.
President Barack Obama hailed the extraordinary achievement of the U.S. mission in Iraq. The Iraqi press and public opinion is very critical of this analysis.
What is their achievement? There is no achievement. Since the first day they entered the country until now, they have sown seeds of division and sectarianism.
Iraqis and Americans have widely different views of the effects of 9 years of U.S. military occupation. Although security is still shaky, Iraqi leaders are now in the U.S. attracting new investments.
Time now to take our second break. We'll be right back.
Size is a key success factor. Zenith Bank, the biggest bank in West Africa, is expanding in the Gambia. Priding itself on excellent customer service delivery, Zenith Bank Gambia opens a new branch on number 9 Nelson Mandela Street in Banjul. For all your banking services and transactions for sending and receiving money through Western Union, Money Express and RIA, at Zenith Bank, We put people, technology, and service